Hello everybody and welcome back to ExtremeRigs.net. I'm Stran and we're going to be taking a look at InWin's H-Frame Mini PC case today. This is the H-Frame Mini and this is part of InWin's kind of new designer style portfolio. And it's a little bit interesting because it's not designed to be a typical PC case. It's designed with aesthetics in mind first. So obviously it is a mini ITX case. You can see it's pretty small here. And the most obvious thing you notice is that it's green. This actually comes in 3 different colors, green, red, and blue. And the 2 panels either side are that color. Now you do also get a glass panel, and that can be used to replace one of those panels. And you're probably going to want to do the one that's going to show the PC components. And these are pretty easily changed. There's, these 4 silver nuts here on the front. And that should give you a nice little tool, little plastic tool to undo these and to tighten them down without scratching them. I'm, however, just dropping them on the floor. So, if we take it off, you can see inside there is the ITX board, and you can see there's not a whole lot of space around it. So you might be thinking, where is the power supply? And the power supply is actually part of the case. It comes with the case. So when you look at this case, you might think that's quite expensive for an ITX case, but do remember it comes with a 250 watt power supply in it. The power supply is actually behind this section here. You can kind of see it, although probably not in this light. But it kind of goes down here, and then all the cables come out of the bottom here. You can see them all kind of coming out here. So like I said, it is 250 watt. Now, InWin have additional specs on it to say, I think it's use a 65 watt CPU or thereabouts. We actually used a 4770K in here, and we upped the power a little bit too. We overclocked it just a tiny bit. And we didn't notice any problems with the power supply at all. In fact, the power supply even remained quiet during that point. The limit was in fact the CPU cooler. Intel's cooler is not very good, and as we know, the 4770K runs very hot. So the CPU started thermally throttling way before we had any power supply issues. So as far as we can tell, this bronze rated power supply is just fine. So beyond the ITX board, what else do you have here? Well, there is some storage space. As you'd expect, you have to put an SSD somewhere. And so that is on the back panel. This also unscrews. And I'm also going to drop these nuts on the floor. Once you remove that panel, you can see that there's a few spaces here. There is a 2.5 inch SSD that we've installed here, and there's another 2.5 inch drive section. And these are not just thin 2.5 inch capable slots. You can actually put a fatter mechanical drive in here, although you don't want to go too crazy. You're not going to mount a super fat one. But I'd say at least 9mm is fine. Then down here we have an optical drive. Now these days, most people don't even use optical drives anymore. But for a HTPC type build, which this is very well aimed at, most people are going to want to play a Blu-ray or so. So you can see just on the front here that it kind of, it's recessed slightly, and it just lines up with the outer edge of where the green layer goes. So that's pretty cool, right? 2 SSDs and an optical drive. And this is a pretty small form factor. So overall, it's got pretty much everything you'd need in an HTPC. So let's talk about what it doesn't have then. Why would you want a bigger case than this? Well, the first most obvious thing would be a full-size graphics card. Although ITX does support one full-size slot, the case, you can see is pretty pretty narrow. You're not going to fit a full-size card in. However, there is a half slot, a PCI slot here. So, you know, if you're using a very basic graphics card just for some home theater capability, or if you're using a Wi-Fi add-on card or a SSD card or a RAID card or something funky like that, you know, you can still mount those. But if you're looking to run like a GTX 980 or something like that, you're going to be out of luck. You're not going to fit that in. However, it's a small case. You're making a compromise, so I don't feel like that's a negative point here. One of the most obvious negative points you'll see here, you kind of just make out in here, but the actual cables themselves, you can see they're sleeved, but they're sleeved with a sleeve that doesn't particularly cover the wires well. And on top of that, the wires on the power supply itself are colored. So they're not black wires with black sleeve, they're clown colored wires with kind of loose black sleeve on top. So if you are using the glass panel, you're really going to want to re-sleeve these wires. So that's a little bit disappointing. In this day and age, almost every premium case always has black wires with tight black sleeve. So, you know, that really is the major sticking point I have with this case. The only other niggle really is this little back plate. It's in here securely fine now because it's attached to the motherboard. But if you take the motherboard out, this thing does not stay in place. There's no metal along the bottom of it to keep it in place. And this is the most frustrating thing when you're building the case. Now once it's installed, you forget all about it. And you'll never even mention it again. But when you are building it, it's annoying as crap. The last thing to mention, you can see just up here, that's the 4-pin for the CPU. There is no 8-pin for the CPU. This cable could be a little longer. You can see it's only just making it up to the top corner of the board. Now that's really as far as it needs to go, but it would be nice just to have maybe 1 more inch on it. You're kind of having to route it through pretty tight. And if there was anything in the way to block it, it would be a problem. So talking about price, this is available for around 150 bucks. Now that's quite a lot for an ITX case, but you have to bear in mind, A, it's aluminum and, you know, therefore lightweight. It's got this kind of cool look with these, each of these panels are kind of shaped slightly differently, so it gives you a very kind of modern feel to it. And then you're getting a full glass panel to mount on the front. And not many cases have glass panels, certainly not in the $150 region. And then you have to remember you're also getting the power supply. So while at first glance you may kind of choke on that price and say, oh my god, why am I spending so much on this case when I could get some, you know, crappy $50 thing? Well, you get a lot more with it. So in terms of price, I would say it's actually pretty good value. The last thing to mention that some of you may want to do is that if you put the case on the side, it's going to be resting on the same silver bolts that stick out and hold on the green frame pieces. While on the bottom here, you can kind of see there's some rubber strips. This sits very nicely this way up. But it would be nice if they also included some feet so that you can rotate the case onto its side, you know, to fit in it like a home entertainment system or something like that. And that would still kind of work. As it is, it will work, but, you know, you might scratch up your furniture a little with that. So that's it from me on the H-Frame mini case. It's a really good, fun case, and it's something different, and we like that Inwin are kind of pursuing this mindset of doing things a bit differently. There's not enough of that really in the PC industry right now. So stay tuned to the channel. We'll be doing a ton more reviews soon. And also check out our website, extremeworks.net. Not all of our reviews end up as video reviews. We are primarily a written site. So do make sure to check us out. As always, liking, subscribing, all that good stuff helps us out. And that's it from me. See you guys next time.